James earns millions from internet marketing. Tim's got millions of questions. Welcome to Freedom Ocean. Now, jump on in.
James Schramko, welcome back to the beautiful waters of the Freedom Ocean.
Isn't it lovely, Tim?
It is excellent. And listeners, welcome back to Australia's most popular internet marketing podcast, as quantified by the Apple iTunes Store. And James, this is probably the best way of... How would you summarise the show? I often summarise it at the start. How would you summarise what we do here?
Well, I think the whole premise is Freedom Ocean is about discussing internet marketing related topics, and it was pretty much born with you, Tim, asking me, James, all the questions about internet marketing. So it sort of started out as a Q&A, and I think it's moving more into a discussion because we're at episode 13 now, and it would be fair to say that I think you're able to answer some of your questions a little better now with the internet marketing thing.
Finally! Finally, he says.
We're doing our job.
We are. Yeah, absolutely we are.
Have you run out of questions?
No, I haven't. And if I do, the listeners have got plenty, so don't worry about that. There is many questions to come. Last episode we covered sort of sales and copy and what it means to sell and engage with people. And you shared an absolute ripper template, or the bones of a ripper template, one of which will show itself in an information product in a couple of months' time. But if people were looking for a way to develop good sales copy, whether it be verbal or in video form or audio form, then I'd really recommend them going back to episode 12 and having a look at that, having a listen to that.
Yeah, I'm going to broad brushstroke that, Tim. I'm just going to say, forget all the academia and the writing thing and the copywriting this and all of that. Ultimately, no matter what, when someone comes to your website, you want them to do something, whatever that is. Just put some thought around how you're going to do that. It doesn't matter whether it's text or video or whatever. Just you've got to get the hang of this sales methodology of taking someone from where they're at now to where they should be, helping them do that.
Correct. Now, this podcast series isn't sequential. We jump around from topic to topic, and today's topic is no exception because we are talking about something that is on the tip of absolutely, I'm sure, every listener's tongue, and that is the O word, James.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Rebecca Black, Friday.
Who's Rebecca Black?
You've got to be kidding me.
No, I'm not. I'm not a big consumer of media outside of podcasts, let me tell you.
Oh, dear. I think I'll leave that to the listeners.
Oh, okay. I'll go and Google
it. Who's Rebecca Black?
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about the O word.
Well, the O word would be outsourcing.
Right.
No? The O word would be
questions about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, here's the thing. We share a lot of good quality information with our listeners, explaining how to do various parts of internet marketing, lifting the lid on lots of aspects of internet marketing, but there's the time when you have to do, where you have to implement an action, and often what many people say is they either they lack the time or they lack the skill sets. So therefore, in steps outsourcing. Yeah. So, and I know that your view on outsourcing and approach to outsourcing is different to maybe what our listeners expect to hear, and that's a good thing because there's no silver bullet here. There's no one way of doing it. But maybe let's talk just broadly right now about what is outsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, it's putting out the feelers into the world. That's what I love about outsourcing, into the big wide world, looking for good people to be part of your virtual team.
Yeah, I think there's a few different aspects to it. Team is one way to look at it, and that's certainly my preference, is building a team. Some people think when you say outsourcing, they're thinking task sourcing. So we should clarify the difference between task sourcing or building a team, because most people listening, I think they're going to be wanting lots of tips and tricks on task sourcing. And I'm not really qualified to teach you anything about that. I prefer to locate a recurring service that I can continue to use and build a relationship with, so that I consider them as almost like a team member, even if they're a separate company and even if they're on a contract basis. But I like to build up a team of suppliers around me who can share the load, because A, I can't do everything, B, I don't want to do everything. But if you want to scale your business and make it hugely profitable, there's only so much you can do by yourself, so you do have to look to external places.
Let's talk about task sourcing, and clearly that's about finding someone to do something for you, one-off.
Pretty much, yeah. That would be a top and tail for a podcast episode, or an
article,
a one-time logo.
Website, or a logo, yep.
Yep, and then there's other things that you'll be using over and over again. If you're going to be doing something a lot of the time, then you start thinking about, should I hire someone full-time to do this, or a full-time contractor? Or should I find a service who specialises in this that I can use over and over and over again? And both of those approaches are valid, and there are pros and cons for having your own team in-house and then outside. And a lot of big companies use outside supply contracts with telecall centres.
Mate, they've been doing it for forever.
They have. It's really just become, I think, was popularised probably by Timothy Ferriss in the 4-Hour Work Week. That's definitely where I started thinking about having a virtual assistant. And from that thought, it developed into hiring one, even though I wasn't sure if I'd have enough to keep her busy. Mm-hmm. But it sort of snowballed from there.
Yeah, right. So is that how you actually started? Is it you actually thought, you know what, I'll go and find myself a VA, a virtual assistant, and give her some things that you didn't want to do, and then over time you just managed to fill those excess hours?
It's not really how I started. I only did that about a year and a half ago. Before that, I started identifying leverage points in my business, things that I'm doing over and over again that I shouldn't be doing. It's sort of, I actually call this my Richard Branson thinking. It's like, would Richard Branson do this? Richard Branson wouldn't be sitting there writing an article. I'm telling you right now, that's not what he would be doing. So I figured I need to get someone else to do this, because I'm going to continually be writing articles as long as I have websites. Now, in my own business, we are writing a lot. We are writing hundreds of articles every month, probably even 1,000. Who knows? I probably know, but I wouldn't say anyway. Yeah. But the thing is, I can't write 1,000 articles a month. It would be impractical. So I actually have a whole team of writers in my business who do that every day. That's what they do. But before I had my internal team, what I did is I actually found someone who was good at writing, and I trained her to be an internet writer from scratch. And then I recognised that she was going to be too busy writing just articles for me, so I encouraged her to hire her own team under her and build a business around it, which she did and was very successful at. And then she expanded it into press releases and writing magalogs and other written type documents. So that was how I started. I started finding the things that I shouldn't do, couldn't do, didn't want to do, and started finding other people to do them. But I used the same supplier over and over again. I still have this person write articles now, and we're talking about, I'm guessing, maybe 4 years. My original designs, I recognised that I suck at Photoshop. So I asked a friend of mine who is a designer called James Dyson to design...
Who we talked about in the last episode?
Logos and templates, yeah. Okay. And most of my figurehead products are James Dyson designs. Mm-hmm. And it was through that relationship that I ended up helping him build his business with his optimise press. Okay. So I took on the designer from the UK, I took on my article writer from Sydney, and then another thing that really helped me was I wanted to speed up my web development process. I was building all my own websites, and I spoke to a friend of mine who's a programmer, and I actually had him program a tool that would speed up the time it took me to build a website. So whilst I didn't outsource that task to anybody, I outsourced it to a machine, to a system, to a software program. So the key points with outsourcing, I think, that really need to come up. Firstly, should you be doing